how do we give work meaning? I mean, it seems like I hear this a lot as an executive coach over the years. I have heard people say, "I am not the same person at work that I am when I am outside of work," and that is not a belief I hold. And we work a whole lot on, well, let's talk about integrating who you are so that you can be you, right?
Right, exactly.
So, how is it that we can bring our whole self to the work game?
That's the, I call work a spiritual gymnasium. That's the real challenge, Cheryl, and I think you put your finger right on it, and how it's different perhaps than your home life, because so many people, and I feel this. I mean, I'm not putting myself. I can talk about this because I struggle with these things myself.
Sure, yeah.
And I work in a big national real estate firm with thousands of people, and it's very easy and very tempting and very consoling to put on a mask when you go to work and put on your kind of work person. And it's very difficult to strip away. We're afraid of being seen. We're afraid of being judged. We're afraid of showing our weaknesses, especially if you're a man of my generation. We might have been raised to be told, never show your weaknesses, right? Never let them see you sweat. Mm-hmm. And that creates this facade that doesn't allow a lot of air and growth into it, because you're in a very defensive mode. And to be willing to strip that away and have the courage within a work environment to say, this is me, this is who I am, and to be with that is a tremendous opportunity for growth. And as you said, the real goal is to be authentic in whatever environment you are. Now, there's a wonderful little Buddhist story, and I forget who it's told about, but there's a Buddhist monk who's considered enlightened, and he's going to introduce the emperor to a group. And as the emperor steps up, the Buddhist monk realizes that his palms are sweating because he's a little nervous about being in front of this emperor. And he realizes in that moment that he's not truly enlightened, that he sees the emperor in a different way than he sees other people. And he goes and he meditates for 7 more years and comes back with equanimity. But at work, where there's a hierarchy like that, and we're trying to impress the boss and we're trying to manage our staff, it could be very difficult to look at all of them the same, and to be the same person for each one of those situations. Mm-hmm. And the reminder to yourself to be authentic in those situations. Work presents a great opportunity to practice that.
Mm-hmm. Well, and so what is the responsibility of leadership? If in fact people are afraid of being seen, quote unquote, not only by their peers but by leaders in organizations, for fear that they may not be good enough, or whatever, fill in the blank. What is the responsibility of leadership in this whole scenario?
Of authenticity and of spiritual development. There's the whole sense, and again, I've seen it change dramatically in the 30 years that I've been. When I started, a leader was somebody who told you what to do and held you accountable. And if you didn't do it, you moved on or you found somebody else. And it was a direction, there was a control kind of position, and we've seen that change dramatically for a variety of reasons. I think it's the aging of the baby boomers who won't take that, and I think it's a realization that it simply doesn't work. I mean, how much control can one person have? And you're not developing people. So the new model, and the model that I try to embrace as a leader for my staff, is to serve them, right? To support them, to encourage them. But to also, my goal for every one of them is for them to be better at their job than I am, to be happy at their work, to feel that what they have to say is valued, and to feel free to come to me with any questions and issues that they have, and know that I'm going to listen in a compassionate way. On the other hand, I have a P&L to run, and I have a bottom line to report to my executives, and that's a constant challenge for anybody in a leadership position, especially if you're committed to to spirituality and you're committed to being the best that you can. How do you treat your people with compassion, with respect, with empowering, to be a servant leader as opposed to a control leader, and also to hold everybody accountable? And I believe, and I think management theory shows this, that if you hire the right people and train them the right way and monitor them with that philosophy, they're naturally going to rise to that level, and actually you're going to need less control over them. People tend to rise to the expectations that you set for them.
Well, we're going to talk more about this when we come back right after this break.